Perfectionism can be limiting and overwhelming. It can lead to procrastination, self-doubt, and anxiety. It can also impede your progress and success. It's easy to become obsessed with seeking perfection instead of celebrating progress. Perfectionism can hold you back from taking risks, trying new things, and experimenting. Many of us strive for perfection, but feel overwhelmed and disheartened if we don't meet our own or others' expectations. We put immense pressure on ourselves to excel, but at some point, we have to realize that life is not perfect, and that's ok. It's time to step away from the pursuit of perfectionism and start living life without constant self-doubt and criticism. If you are struggling with perfectionism, there are a few key strategies that can help you beat it. In this video, we will provide you with 7 ways to beat perfectionism and promote healthy strategies for self-care and promotion of progress. Number 1. Acknowledge that perfectionism can have a negative impact. Perfectionism can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can motivate us to strive for success and keep us organized, but it can also be a source of stress and disappointment. Acknowledge that there are potentially negative impacts of perfectionism and that it can sometimes stand in the way of progress. Accept that mistakes are part of learning and growing, and that even the best-laid plans can sometimes not work out as expected. Acknowledging the negative impact of perfectionism and that it is an unrealistic goal can help free us from its grip and enable us to look beyond it. Furthermore, accepting that it is not possible to always be perfect can allow us to be compassionate with ourselves and strive for progress rather than perfection. It is important to recognize that perfectionism is not always beneficial. Having this awareness can be the first step in freeing ourselves from its grip and enabling us to pursue our goals more freely. Number 2. Identify your perfectionism triggers. Identifying the triggers that lead to perfectionism can help you have more control over your behavior and start to challenge these feelings of perfectionism. It's important to recognize situations, thoughts, and feeling that may lead to a perfectionist mindset. For example, when you experience failure or make a mistake, you may feel the urge to perform perfectly and set higher standards for yourself. It may also happen when you're faced with competition, when you're comparing yourself to others, or when you're being asked to perform a difficult task. Once you've identified these triggers, use strategies such as positive self-talk, learning from mistakes, working on your self-care, setting realistic goals, and focusing on the process rather than results to help you challenge perfectionist tendencies in the moment. Even if it's difficult at first, over time you will be able to focus on yourself as a whole instead of trying to meet unreachable expectations. Number 3. Practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is an important tool to manage perfectionism. It is the ability to treat yourself in a kind and understanding way instead of beating yourself up for not being perfect. One way to practice self-compassion is to replace negative self-talk with a kind and understanding inner dialogue. Talk to yourself as if you were speaking to a loved one, and take time to remind yourself that you are human and it's okay to make mistakes. Also, it can be helpful to keep a self-care checklist that gives you permission to practice self-care daily or weekly. This could be simple activities such as reading a book, going for a walk, or taking a hot bath. Lastly, it can be useful to reflect on your accomplishments, no matter how small. When perfectionism strikes, remember to be gentle and compassionate with yourself and build up the courage to keep going. Number 4. Accept imperfection. Accepting that there will be imperfections in life is one of the best ways to combat perfectionism. Doing this helps to shift mindsets away from perfectionism, allowing us to recognize that life will never truly be perfect. By doing this, we can become more accepting of our own flaws and the flaws in our work. We can start allowing ourselves to make mistakes and not dwell on them for too long. We can allow ourselves to feel a sense of freedom, knowing that our lives and our work will never be perfect. We should recognize that perfectionism can be a burden, as striving for perfection can be both mentally and physically exhausting. We should realize that perfectionism is not necessary to thrive, and that practicing acceptance of imperfection can open up greater opportunities and possibilities. Acceptance of imperfection can help us to see the beauty in life's imperfections and be more content with who we are and where we are. Number 5. Make small goals and celebrate achievements. Whenever you feel like the pressure of perfectionism is intensifying, one of the most effective strategies to help beat down the perfectionist mindset is to make smaller, attainable goals and to celebrate success when they are achieved. Without any success, it can be hard to break out of a perfectionist cycle, as the feelings of failure and not achieving perfection can drown out any positive outlook on future progress. In making smaller goals, it's important to remember to break them down further if too much can be overwhelming. Celebrating success is an important part of the strategy to foster a positive cycle. Celebrating successes can be small, such as a pat on the back, a scented candle, or a hot chocolate, to something bigger, such as a gym membership or a short holiday. Breaking down goals further and taking the time to recognize and reward success is an effective way to help beat perfectionism. Number 6. Focus on effort rather than outcome. Focusing on effort rather than outcome is a useful tactic for beating perfectionism. By shifting our attention away from the outcomes of our choices and towards the effort we are putting in to reach our goals, we can develop healthier, more productive mindsets. This strategy encourages us to give our best effort, trust our judgment, and appreciate the process of learning and growing. When we view successes as stepping stones on our journey, rather than gold stars that need to be consistently earned, it takes the pressure off and allows us to look at each experience with a lighter perspective. By granting ourselves permission to try, make mistakes, and even fail, it's much easier to give our best energetic effort. This way, we are comfortable when pushed out of our comfort zone rather than trying desperately to remain in it. Allowing ourselves the freedom to make mistakes also opens us up to learn more from these experiences and helps us to then use mistakes as tools for growth. Number 7. Find professional support when needed. Perfectionism can become paralyzing and prevent you from even attempting the task at hand. The fear of failure can be so intense that you'd rather not try at all. Thankfully, you don't have to suffer alone. Professional help is available. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed with perfectionism, don't hesitate to reach out for help. A professional therapist or counselor can give you the guidance needed to develop better coping strategies and tools to manage your perfectionism. You can learn how to recognize and challenge those negative thoughts and feelings, focus on what is achievable, and have more realistic expectations of yourself. With the skill sets provided by these professionals, you can learn how to boost your self-worth and build upon your strengths, ultimately developing healthy relationships with yourself and others, and becoming more productive in your everyday life. Don't be afraid to find the support you need. No matter the length of time it has taken you to learn that perfectionism is a self-defeating habit, it can be overcome. Taking it one step at a time and dedicating yourself to developing healthy habits can help immensely. With practice and self-reflection, perfectionism will become a thing of the past. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay tuned to such helpful content. Thanks for watching.